There's a lot of talk about where to go when TikTok is banned, but that question is pretty soon going to be irrelevant. It's like the question of where to put all the horse poop in New York City. As soon as cars were invented, the question became irrelevant. Pretty soon, banning social media apps is going to become irrelevant. I'm a programmer, I've been writing code for 25 years, and I've been writing blockchain code for the past 9 years. I wrote the first public implementation of something called ERC 1155 in 2018. It was one of the first NFT standards. Don't worry about what's more important is that I wrote a new standard here called ERC 7847, and it's what's going to allow us to publish social media onto blockchains in a standardized way so that all of the apps, all of these social media apps can look at the same data. You might have heard of apps like Farcaster or Mastodon or Lens Protocol. This is not like any of those things. They all use a centralized service, which means that you have to have somebody's permission, or if that service goes away, it disappears. It stops working. This is different than those things. Just a quick note on how data lives forever on blockchains. I get this question all the time. They say, who pays for it? The reason the data stays there is because the miners who are paid to continually produce new transactions also have to keep a record of all the old transactions. So on Bitcoin, you have this huge chunk of data that's the entire history of Bitcoin, and it lives on every single miner. So you essentially have a Amazon Google Cloud that is perpetually maintained by all the tens of thousands of computers around the world. And once that data gets stuck into the blockchain, it's just there forever. And anytime somebody new wants to come along and start some mining, that data has to be completely copied over onto the new miner. So you have this exact redundant copy of all the data in thousands of places. Now, this is more like the internet. It's more like posting websites. It's just a format of how you put data onto blockchains, and then anybody can look at that data. Anybody can browse that data. Anybody can build apps on top of that data. Anybody can create feeds using that data. And unlike anything ever before, this is about putting that data someplace where it can never truly be deleted or censored. Of course, apps can come along and filter it and make it user-friendly and make it so that anything doesn't reach the wrong eyes. But it also means that if you're living someplace like Afghanistan and you like the idea of women having rights, and the government takes away your ability to see social media, there will be a way for people to still post and see. There will be an underground railroad of sorts. The cat's out of the bag. This is published. This is going to happen. Now, I'm building one of the first apps that's going to use this standard, and in my app, there will still be filters. There will still be some kind of censorship. I can't just have people posting, CP, PDF files, whatever. That has to be filtered out of the interface, but that doesn't stop anybody from using the technology itself. It's like the internet. Horrible things get published on the internet. We can control what we look at and how we see the internet, but the internet itself, the protocols of the internet, allow anybody freedom of speech, essentially. And like websites, you have control over your website if you're the one who deploys it. So my app is going to have a version of this technology that allows my specific app to delete certain things that are wildly inappropriate. But that will only be in the smart contracts that I use in my app. But if my app were to go away, then all of that data that was still there would just be basically there for all time. It would be there for hundreds of years. And unlike the traditional internet, it wouldn't need anybody to maintain it. No maintenance fee. And so if something like my app went out of business, the question of where do you go, what app do you go to next, is irrelevant because all of your data is still there. And you can prove if you have a private key, which is something that I'm also going to allow people to have. If you have your own private key, you can prove that you wrote those posts, and you can start making more posts and connect your original posts to your new posts and have an unbroken chain of content into whatever app. You could essentially hop around from app to app, and they could all go out of business, and you still have your social media posts. And unlike today, we will have a new market of feeds and feed builders. So people will have third parties that make feeds for you. So you won't have apps deciding what you look at. People will decide what they look at. And if you're interested in being one of the first users of the first app that uses this standard, and to possibly have social media posts that last for hundreds of years, go to my link tree, it's in my bio, and click on the form there, and I will send you an email when the app is ready to go. You will be one of the first alpha testers. On top of all that, it's going to be a lot easier to figure out who actually published media. So you can blog this way, you can create images this way, and official accounts, you'll be able to tell who actually released media. So if you're wondering if something was AI generated, then using this kind of publishing mechanism will make it so the official media will be tracked back to the source. So if ABC News publishes something, then you'll know ABC News published it, and you'll be able to say, well, was this AI generated? Well, ABC News published it from their official account, and there'll be a digital signature to be able to tell. So this is also going to help fight fake news and AI generated content. You'll also be able to tell the chronological order of content. And because this is blockchain, there will also be very direct ways to monetize content that we will be implementing in the future, and many people will figure out really interesting ways to monetize content using these rails in the future. So sign up on the top of my link tree in that form, and I promise you're only going to receive updates about this app and this social media standard.